Welcome to the Midnight Entrepreneur. I'm your host, Easton Bennett, alongside my fellow co-host, Tyler Sinden. We are both entrepreneurs who are learning, growing, and building our own businesses, and our goal is to share our experiences and knowledge to help you grow and become a successful entrepreneur. Strap in. Tyler, what's going on, man? We're throwing the viewers again for a loop. We're both in a different set here. I'm in the same actual physical location at my house, but there's some people downstairs installing some SRT fiber optic internet. So I decided I'd film upstairs this week.
Fun stuff. Yep. I'm over here. We are now Sinden, Seattle Sinden, whatever you want to call it. Traveling again, another new location. I know this is audio first, but if you are watching on video, we got a new set.
Seattle Sinden. I like that. We went from, what was it? Tampa, Tyler to Colorado Springs. Gosh, what was Colorado?
Yeah, something like that. It was like Springs Sinden.
Colorado Springs Sinden to now Seattle Sinden.
Yeah.
And then we're going to be Minot Man when you get here. I don't know. We'll come up with something. But that'll be a live show. So for you guys that don't listen, maybe those are the ones you want to tune into live to actually watch. Not live.
We're going to do it live?
Watch them live, but...
I was going to say, we're doing this live?
We could. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll figure something out. Maybe we will. Who knows? Yeah. It would be interesting to see the behind the scenes of us actually in person, which, you know, it's a first.
I'm excited for it. It'll be a couple weeks. Going to get some content filmed. But other than that, Tyler, what's going on from Seattle? What's new with you?
Yeah, I told you before I was going to start this off all depressed and shit. And I just feel like I'm being a little introspective and just looking at this. And I think it's a little bit of this trip dragging on quite a bit longer than I expected it to. I don't know how, but I think I expected this trip to be a month long. And my first location was a month. So I'm not really sure how I expected that to happen. And I think this is going to end up being about 3 to 4 months. Depending on how long I spend in Minot, I'm going to guess it's going to be around a monthish. But what happened the other day is I was just thinking, and I feel like it's a little bit of, I want to be done with this. It's a lot of traveling, and I feel like the digital nomad life is a little bit more glamorized, and it's a little bit more tough being in your car as opposed to, say, a van life, or say you have an RV. So I think that is a little bit of it. And at the same time, I feel like I just want to be back home in my comfort of my house with my basement, everything just nice and set up, and don't got to travel, don't got to unpack, don't got to do all this shit, figure out new locations. So yeah, I just was thinking, I was just like, I'm not really where I'm at. And I was just like staring at myself in the video before. I had it like pulled up to see if it was like to frame it properly on my laptop.
Yep.
And I was just like, and I was standing there and I was looking at myself and I'm like, fuck, I'm fat. And, and I'm like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I'm not where I want to be physically, mentally, financially. And I know I'm starting this episode off pretty fucking shitty, but yeah, I don't know.
Going through the goddamn ringer over there.
Yeah, I know, man. I was honestly thinking about this recently, because being on this trip, haven't really had a strict diet or anything like that, or strict workout regimen. And I've just been doing whatever. So I've been thinking to myself, like, what if I tried to do, say, 75 hard on this trip? And then I actually started to be real strict with what I eat, what I do, and getting outside and doing workouts, because like I can't really work out because I don't have a gym or anything. I don't have a membership. So it's like, I'm going to have to go outside, run, walk, do something in it. But it's just more than just sitting at home, and I'm spending so much money going out to eat and just eating whatever's in front of me. It's like, oh, sure, I'll have this cookie, or I'll have this cake, or so I've just been thinking a lot and doing some introspection.
The digital nomad life. I like that you called it that. So you think it's looks a little bit more glamorized on TikTok and Instagram, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I definitely feel like it is. And at the same time, I feel like I'm mixing this trip a little bit, at where I was thinking it was going to be business, and at the same time I'm mixing it a little bit with vacation. So it's like I'm mixing the two, and where if I had a clear vision or clear goal on what it was going to be, I'm going to do this for business, or I'm going to do this for vacation. So I'm mixing it a little bit with vacation and business. So I think that's also playing a little bit into it.
It's hard achieving both when you're kind of splitting your time. You know, your ass is on two different toilet seats per se. You're half pregnant.
Yeah. That's actually what I was like looking at myself and I'm like, damn, I'm pregnant.
My God, I look fucking pregnant. Did I have a child? Do I have a child in me?
Yeah. I wasn't too satisfied with that to say the least.
Hey, well,
So
you
I
can
was thinking,
you can run back to Toronto instead of driving back.
yeah, I'll leave my car here. Maybe I'll like strap it on and I'll like pull it.
Pull it. Yeah, just get a rope.
Yeah.
It's been
I'll
done.
put some
It's been
chains
done.
on it and just like pull it across country.
There you go. There you go. Well, all right. Well, I'll spin the mood to a little bit more of a lighter note so our viewers don't
Sweet.
Leave the show. But
They probably already left.
yeah, they're like, yeah, we don't want to hear about Tyler's shit. But no, so I think last week we talked, or 2 weeks ago, we talked about me hiring a short form video editor that is up and running and flying. I've got a couple videos back from him so far. I didn't have him dive into the first set of videos, the first 12 that I need from right away. I said, hey, do one. I'll send it to the client, see if they approve, and then I'll let you do them all. So we're not having crazy back and forth. And the client said, yeah, just looks good. Just slow it down a little bit. And then I sent it over to him for the brief that he can tackle everything. So it is kind of exciting and interesting to have that short form video editor working on the project. So I'm buying my time back. And it's also interesting because now I've learned that my lingo, when I'm having these conversations, whether it's text or email, is pivoting more towards the we aspect instead of the me aspect. So when I was texting the client saying, hey, we got your video done. What do you think? Are there any changes we can make? I actually feel like there's some conviction behind it rather than just saying we when it was a one-man team before. So that's kind of an interesting perspective that I've ran into recently, and it's cool to see the ball moving in that direction.
So when you were originally hiring this short form editor, I thought you were going to be doing it for your personal content. I didn't realize you were going to be doing it for your clients.
Oh yeah, it's client work. All the short form clips that I'm promising to these clients, I'm not going to touch any of it.
Oh, sweet.
I mean, I guess I
good?
cut it and then I give them just the raw vertical video that's 45 seconds. That's just chopped up the pieces that they actually sound coherent in the video. But then he's doing all the captions and the transitions and the sound effects for that.
Yeah, I guess that frees up quite a bit of your time. And I feel like that's also rather low leverage type activities for the clients, whereas the main pieces of content are obviously the horizontal videos that you're filming and you're editing.
100%. So that's almost an add-on, and I feel better about my business being able to outsource that and buy my time back rather than giving him the ability to create these longer pieces that are horizontal. Now, I am looking for a video editor that can take over that aspect too, but he doesn't have the capabilities. He doesn't want to edit the long form videos, but it is nice to be able to clear that mundane, tedious task, give it to him. And the reason I'm doing it with the client work first is because I can actually see an ROI. If I'm charging a client $1,500 a month, it costs me $200 for him to do all the clips, and it saves me, 8 to 12 hours. Okay, boom, I'm making $1,300. Yeah, I'm shaving a little bit off the top, but it's buying back way more time for me to actually go out there and get new deals, which I've been using that time to do.
Yeah, and you also discovered something new. So before we get into your huge breakthrough of an idea that you found, it's when you're able to outsource all these videos, you're able to do a larger scale of projects, which basically means more revenue. So I feel like that's good for you.
And that's one thing I've seen is if I usually would offer, hey, we'll do 8 social media clips because I know how long it takes me. Well, now I might be able to bump that number up a little bit because I'm not physically handling those deliverables. I could say, oh, let's make it 12. Let's splash the pot a little bit. And then I'm still not in charge of it. And the nice part about it is I'm getting a fixed rate for these videos from the short form video editor, whereas I can charge per short form video, just upsell. So if I'm getting $15 for the short form from him, I'll charge $60 per clip for it. And then you're just making that difference, not having to touch anything. So yeah, it's super interesting moving into this whole hiring phase. And I am looking for a full-time or a longer form video editor to do the commercial work and to do the YouTube videos, to work on both the client side and the personal brand side. But obviously that's more of a financial investment than just going with the short form video editor. That's pretty cost effective. But yeah, it's interesting to see where the business is starting to head.
Did you have much of an interview or screening process with this current short form editor? Did you have multiple applications? Did you just find someone and then you said, hey, can you do this for me? And then boom.
Never talked to the guy in my life. Only through Instagram messages. And I've had multiple people reach out to me to do short form content. None of them have really gotten anywhere. But for some reason, I don't know if it was the grace of God that got this guy through to me, but he was persistent, but not persistent to where it was annoying. He was just kind of lingering around and like, hey, I'm ready to help you whenever you need. Just let me know. I knew when my van broke down, he's like, hey, I'll reach out to you next week. It seems like you got a lot going on. I was like, dude, thank you. That's way better than just being like, come on, let's get on a call. Let's get on a call. I'm like, I'm trying to get back to my hometown right now. So it ended up working, and his price was awesome, and I thought his work was awesome. So basically didn't even have to interview him or anything. I just asked him what his process was like. He said, you just create a Google Drive folder, upload the content you want. I'll create an edited folder for the final edits. I'll upload them there. And then he said, after the end of each month, you just pay for whatever clips I edited.
Simple enough. Is it by piece or by hour? Or I'm assuming it's by piece.
Yep. So he has two different packages. One's $7 for the clip, which is a little bit stripped down. And then the other one is $15 per clip, which has emojis and sound effects and moving animations and all that, zoom in, zoom outs. So those are the two prices. I'm rocking and rolling with the $15 ones for my clients because I want them to...
Rocking and rolling.
Yeah, exactly. I want them to be able to get the highest quality production. And it's nice because I said, hey, I'm going to put your headshot on my website because you're a part of the team now. Are you cool with that? And he's like, yep, let's do it. So...
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. And he's funny because he sends me memes all the time. I sent him the videos today. I said, it's actually hilarious. I sent him a message today, and I said, hey, client's good to go with the project. Feel free to do the rest of the clips. And he just sent me a picture of Elon Musk with his arms crossed. And the caption was, this is Elon Musk. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know what that means, but it kind of made me laugh. And then yesterday he sent me that one guy and it was just like noise. So yeah, he's super.
I love that guy.
He's funny and he's willing to just kind of banter back and forth, which is good. And it's nice that he's taking that off my plate.
Do you give him the companies that you're working with brand colors, or does he just use yellow and green?
He used yellow, green, red. So there's not a ton of brand colors going on for it. He's pretty much just using the eye-catching stuff, which is totally fine.
Fair.
Previously, when I was doing these, I was using the brand colors for the captions, but honestly, I didn't think they looked that good. I didn't really know.
Yeah.
I wish they looked better. And then what he's delivering, I think looks way better. I don't even want to have to worry about doing clips, and I'll just leave it all to him. So it's nice to be able to know enough about the clips to know what's going on, but to realize that he's better than me at it and just let him take over.
Fair. And you recently just discovered something groundbreaking about cold reaching out to people. Do you want to touch on that a little bit, or?
Yeah. So I won't go entirely into the strategy because one, I think I signed a contract that I'm not supposed to tell anybody the processes and stuff, but basically it's reaching out to people online through a strategy to get new clients. And you pretty much get them, you get your foot in the door, you get the hook, and then you just book a call with them. And the strategy has been working super well. And I was crunching some numbers. That's about as far as I'll go into with it. But I was crunching some numbers, and depending on how many messages you send, if you send 100 messages a day, every single day of the year, which is achievable, might not be achievable, but that's 36,500 messages. If you close only 1% of those messages that you send, and the average deal for video production, let's say it's $5,000, that's $1.8 million in revenue. So that was eye-opening, to say the least, when I was crunching those numbers. Are they actually achievable? I don't know. They might not be attainable. You know, you might close a lower percent than 1%, or your average deal size might be less than $5,000. But even if you're closing, half of a percent and the average deal size is $7,500, you're still making some money. So it's interesting to just see those numbers in front of you, even if you don't hit 1.8 million, that it's all a numbers game. Sending those messages eventually turns into calls, which already I've sent, I think, 150-ish messages, and I've gotten 2 calls booked out of it and 2 strategy calls booked out of it. So it's interesting to see where things are going, and I'm excited to keep the updates flowing as obviously we progress with this podcast.
So you haven't talked to anyone yet. It's just calls booked.
I've had 2 discovery calls that turned into 2 strategy calls. So really it goes discovery call, strategy call, agreement call. So the discovery calls went well. One of them was actually with a gentleman in Georgia. So that's the exciting part about it is I can reach out to anyone in the US and then just partner with a video company in that area and have them shoot it. So really it's kind of a hack where, hey, I told this guy we're headquartered in North Dakota, but I have a team out in Georgia and they'll be able to handle the production. And he didn't bat an eye at it, which was super interesting to see that I can say that and they don't really ask questions about it, because I think that was one of the hurdles I was looking to get over was, how am I going to lie to these people? Which technically it's not lying. I do have people out in Georgia that I can help. They're just not my employees. So I said, hey, we have a team out in Georgia that's tackling all of our Georgia productions, and he didn't bat an eye at it. So it's exciting, and I have 6 to 7 meetings with creatives tomorrow and Friday to discuss this partnership and start to almost put some pins on the map of where I can reach out to clients.
Nice. That's sweet. I feel like when we were talking about this is pretty big for you and helping you get closer to your revenue goal in the year.
Yeah. And that's something where we go back and forth, like, how are we going to hit that thing? And then eventually something falls in your lap. It didn't fall in my lap. I still had to work for it, but eventually an opportunity arises where you're able to take advantage of it.
You know what I was thinking? I was thinking that this perfectly rolls into our episode on today.
Yeah, and that's what I was actually thinking when we started talking about the first thing I brought up is we're going to be talking about business development today and just kind of our thought processes on that a little bit. And, maybe it'll even go into a little bit of where you want to go with your business, where I want to go with my business. It's almost like a recorded mastermind at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. I literally just thought of that. I'm like, you know what? That's kind of what the episode's on, and having the ROI of paying for something and not knowing if you should pay for it. Because I know when you first started with them, you're like, this is a lot of money. I don't know if I should do it. And you did it, and it's seeming to work out really well so far.
Yeah. And for the people that don't know, I'll be super transparent with it. It's $24,000 for the year for 12 months. And when I was talking to Tyler, you remember this, I was telling you, I'm like, that's just an absurd amount of money that I'm paying these people to quote unquote coach me, which sounds super cliche, sounds super snake oil salesman and scammy. But now that I've walked through this process, the amount of information that I've learned, you don't realize you don't know what you don't know. So after all of this was uncovered and I've been walked through it and, hey, start implementing these things, it opens up to your eyes to, oh my God, there's so much that I haven't been doing that I didn't even know that I should be doing.
Yeah. So you're paying for access to people and information that you otherwise wouldn't have. And that was one of my main goals this year, is paying for access to people, paying for access to people. And I've not been doing the best with it, but I have been doing a little bit better than what I have been doing in the past.
Yeah. And that's where I think we've talked about this a ton. It's like, because when you joined Arate, it's like, do you pay for it? Like, is it going to be worth it? And then you end up learning these things, and it's always worth what you invest in it. And obviously there are things out there that you could purchase that eventually you're not going to get your money back. But if you go for the ones that are actually vetted for, maybe they're giving you a success guarantee, which the one I have, they're giving you a success guarantee. It's worth it to get access to these people and to pay for things that you don't already know. And I think, who is it that says, Hermosi, if you're not making $1 million a year, the cost is
whatever you're not making.
Yeah. So if you're making $200K, it costs you $800,000 a year to not be making $1 million.
Yeah. And you kind of said it, but how would you go about evaluating if it's going to be worth it, the ROI on this investment? I know with these guys, they had a guarantee where this is the amount that you're going to have to pay. And we guarantee that you're going to be able to double your income within a year, or get your money's worth within a year.
It's double the investment. So $24,000, they guarantee you're going to be able to get $48,000 in return. So
how would you go about the decision on the on if you should go with the investment, because I know some people might struggle with, I don't know if I should buy this, because that was me in the past where it was like, I'm struggling a little bit where I don't want to pay for a coach, but I'm thinking maybe I should start paying for a coach, because at the same time, I don't know what I don't know. And maybe if I pay for a coach, they might be able to help me out, guide me in a direction, but I just don't know. And I have that uncertainty if I'm going to be able to get my money's worth. How do you go about evaluating? Is there a process that you maybe went through when you were evaluating this course or program or anything in the past where should I invest in this? Maybe it's some equipment. How do you go about because like for me, I always say, I'm going to buy this drone and then I'm going to try and make it pay for itself. And fuck, I have been nowhere close to anything. My camera, my lens, my drone, my second drone. What about you?
So
like with everything,
as far as the consulting program that I'm in now, it really helped that they had that success guarantee of, hey, you're going to pay $24,000. We're going to make you $48,000 in 12 months. And if we don't, we'll work for you for free until you do. So that was their guarantee. So that really pushed me over the edge as far as that goes. I knew, okay, well, if it doesn't work, at least eventually I'll hit that $48,000. So that I knew was a little bit easier. But with other things, as far as investments go, the only other course or program that I've had is Full-Time Filmmaker. And that I just kept getting hit with ads and kept seeing all of these videos and the success stories around it, where I eventually bit into it. It took a long time. I didn't do it on the first piece of content I watched. You know, they say 7 points of contact for buying something through marketing. And I definitely think I fell victim to that one. But again, that was exactly what I needed. It helped a ton. And then as far as the equipment side goes, the value, I look at equipment a lot different now than I did even 2 years ago. I realize that clients don't care about what you have to get the job done. They only care about the results that you're giving their business.
Yeah.
So I can show up and say, well, I have this camera and it shoots 10-bit, and 10-bit is good for color grading because they don't care. As long as the video gets them to their goal, that's what it really comes down to. So I've really stemmed back from purchasing gear. And when I do make those decisions, now I'm looking at it as, if I buy this piece of gear, what is it going to help me on my end? So I was actually, when I was setting up for this podcast, I was thinking, I hate moving stuff around. So if I buy, 6 more tripods, I can have 3 permanently in this podcast room. I can have 3 permanently in my basement that I never have to leave. And then I can have 3 permanently in my production van. So then I'm saving that.
Saves you time.
Yeah. I'm saving 15 to 20 minutes every time I have to move something around to fill something. Yeah. And so having that, and the same with the lights. If I buy one light that I leave in this podcast room forever for good, it's saving so much time, because every time I film this podcast, it takes me 30 to 45 minutes to set up. Whereas that 30 to 45 minutes that I'm looking at, how can I grow my business in that 30 to 45 minutes? If I can buy that time back, it might cost me $150 for a light, but that $150, am I going to be able to make that back? So now that's really how I look at equipment, is like, how is it going to get me to the goals I want to be, instead of, oh, it's going to be able to shoot slower video, whatever it might be.
Yeah. It's interesting how your mindset changed, and it's not even changing, how can my videos get better? It's how can I create more time in my day? And I feel like there's like a threshold. Once you're making so much money, it's more so like finding out how you can buy more time in your day.
Yeah. And I'm at the point where there was a mindset shift where you have to decide, are you going to be the person that is a starving artist? Not a starving artist, but are you going to be on the artist side? Are you going to be on the creative side where you're just doing that and you have a lot of the hands-on tasks? Or are you going to go the business route where you're going to be a business owner? You're going to start to delegate things, start to actually grow the business by hiring people and maybe being less hands-on in the day-to-day activity. And it's super weird, because I think at the beginning of this year, like one of the first podcasts we did, we talked about working on your business versus in your business. And now it's getting to that point where I'm trying to find ways to work on it more than in it.
So when you first bought Full-Time Filmmaker, this was obviously early in your journey. Did you have any process of evaluating that investment? Did you worry about the ROI that you were going to be getting back on it? I know at the time for you, it may have been a lot, but looking back at it now, the investment for that program might not be that much. Did you have a process or anything?
Because I think that one was $600. And that at the time seemed crazy because I made like $8,000 my first year in video. And I was like, wow, $600 is a lot. But the nice part about that is that I believe Full-Time Filmmaker also had a money back guarantee. If you didn't like it after 30 or 60 days, they would give you your money back and then just close your access to the course. But I remember watching the videos, and after a week or 2 weeks, I think it was literally after a week, maybe even like 4 days, I watched the first segment and I thought, I'm never going to ask for my money back. I think I've already got my money back. And I binged through the whole course just because after I started it, I thought there was so much value in it. So it helps having those guarantees. It might push you over the edge a little bit, but yeah, that's kind of how I justified that one.
So a little tidbit of advice, I guess you could say, is with guarantees. I read that the longer of a period you have with the money back guarantee, the less likely people are going to actually ask for the money back, because it starts to drag on, and they start to forget about it is what it is. And with this in particular, it's a one-time fee. Whereas if it's, say, a subscription-based, they might see it and then it's like, okay, now I'm going to ask for my money back or whatever. But one-time fee type of thing, if you pay for it and say, maybe it's like a 2-day money back guarantee, someone is more likely to ask for their money back within 2 days because it's so short of a span.
It's so new to them.
Yeah, it's still top of mind and everything, compared to, say, 30, 60, 90 days. That's so far out. Like in 2.5 months, you paid for that thing and you kind of forgot about it like within that span. You weren't thinking on your mind, it's like, oh, I have 2 days to figure out. Whereas now it's like, say, 90 days. It's like you aren't constantly thinking, oh, I have 90 days to figure this out. And even if you are, after like a week, you're going to forget about that.
Yeah. And that's where I'm looking at this course. Obviously, $24,000 investment, it's $2,000 a month. How do they really justify that you're getting $48,000 from the course? Especially after 12 months, you start to think, okay, well, all the jobs that I would have got without the course are getting mixed with the ones I wouldn't have. How do you differentiate that? But I think in the beginning, when I talked to the person that walked me through the program, the first call I had, they asked me my goals. And I said, honestly, I'd like to hit 250K revenue this year. And that, I think, is the benchmark of what they might be going off of. So if I hit 250K, honestly, I wouldn't ask for my money back right now, just because of all the processes and everything I've worked through. But if I did end up hitting 250K, I think both sides would be pretty happy.
Yeah. I was going to ask you something. Have you made it through the whole program yet, or is there still lots more that you haven't touched on, read?
I've got the main gist of how it works, but now I'm going into the implementation. So taking clients from one-offs to retainers. And then after I finish this, I can go into the video agency expert, which goes into more of, okay, that goal. So really the Video Business Academy that I'm in now is getting to $10,000 a month, which I'm going to hit that goal anyways. So really the goal for this is, or the video agency expert is getting to 83,000. So $1 million a year. So that is showing you goals like how to hire people, when you should hire people, how to use AI, how to eliminate tasks, how to delegate tasks. So after I finish the VBA, which I'm not through, I'm in like week 4 out of 5, then I'll move into the video agency expert. But no, I'm not all the way through it.
So this is obviously a fairly big expense. Did you create a budget fund to be able to allocate money to this program to be able to save up for it? Or did you just say, fuck it, I'm just going to spend it and hope for the best? Or is there a payment process plan where you're able to finance it a little bit? Did you do any of that budgeting for this program?
Oh God, no. I was not peer pressured into it, but I had no money when I said yes. And honestly, I tried to say no, and it was pretty much like they wouldn't let me. So I got nervous and I was like, okay, fine. And I said, well, I just don't know if the $2,000 payment because honestly, at that time, I hadn't gotten paid in like 3 months, like the projects I was working on. And in the course, they teach you, which I should have known this beforehand, is charge 50% up front, 50% off after, because that'll get the cash flow going. So I had literally no money, and I said, hey, I'm going to need some time to figure some stuff out. And he's like, well, just put $1,000 down payment down, and then you can pay the next $1,000 when you do your onboarding call. And I forgot about the onboarding call. The other $1,000 went through. I was like, well, I guess I'm freaking in this now. So then I didn't pay that $2,000 off. It was just on my credit card. Next month came, another charge, $2,000. I was like, oh gosh, this is getting hairy. And then things started working a little bit, so I was paying it off. But yeah, at the time, man, I don't remember if I was telling you how nervous I was, but I was like, dude, I don't know where I'm going to get this money. Because it's like I can cover my own expenses, like I can pay for myself. But it's like you're at another $2,000 a month, which to some people is obviously nothing, but to someone that's trying to grow a small business still, $2,000 a month, it comes up on you quick.
It seems like the quote that you always say about Mike Tyson getting punched in the face back against the wall, where you either have to figure it out or you're going to get fucked.
Yeah. And I think that's honestly what I did, because now the business is, I'm sure you've noticed it in the past month, but the business is thriving a lot more than it was in the past year. I don't know, year and a half.
How much? So obviously you've been in what, 3-ish months in this program, 3-4 months?
This will be my third payment. This will be my third payment coming up in tomorrow.
So how much of your success would you attribute to them currently?
I'd say, I mean, not all of it, but there is a mindset shift. The mindset shift has been the biggest thing. Also, I don't know what it's been, but just doing more work. And part of that stems from this, because we talked about that at the beginning of the year of just doing more this year. And I think it all culminated together. I can't point a finger at the one thing that helped the most, but yeah, I mean, I think it's helped a ton, and I think it's helped me charge more money for my videos. I just had a job that I closed today that they had a $3,000 budget, and I upsold them to $4,800, and pretty much told them, hey, you need this, we're going to add this on, and they were good with the budget increase. So I think things like that, and the process that they're from the discovery call, strategy call, agreement call, that they've taught me to walk me through things, it's helped a ton. Now, has it helped $24,000 worth? I'm not sure yet. It's definitely helped $1,800 worth, because that's what the upsell was today.
There you go. So that kind of ties into the not immediate ROI of this expense or this investment that you're going to be doing. And were you looking long-term for this?
Yeah. I mean, I was looking at, because really when I had the sales call with the original guy, he's like, if you want your business to grow to that point, something's got to change, right? And I was like, honestly, yeah, you're probably right. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's got to be, I see other people making this kind of money. Why can't I be making it for myself? So that's really when I took that leap of faith into something's got to change. And yeah, that's kind of what got me going.
Yeah. When I had the call with like the coach / salesperson, and you're obviously the pro, and you're telling me something's going wrong, or this is how I got to switch it, or this is how I'm going to have to get from point A to point B. So you're obviously the pro. You obviously did it. You obviously know how to do it. So I'm obviously going to listen to you. And
I think it helps when you're going into these mentorship type deals, seeing that they've done it previously, they've done the work before. It gets a little bit snake oil salesman when they're telling you how to do something, but they haven't done it successfully before. So when I went into this, I knew Nick Metzger, the guy that is mentoring this whole program. He had built a video production company that was doing $40,000 to $50,000 a month, and now he's actually in the process of selling that company. So,
oh wow,
the $40,000 to $50,000 a month, I knew it's like, okay, well, he used whatever is in this course, whatever's in this mentorship program. He used these strategies to get his business there. So if I can learn from that, even if I get to half of what he got it to, $20,000 a month, that's still $240K a year.
And that's pretty much your goal. So yeah, I think that's looking at your long-term approach and just being willing to, and not really endure the suck, but endure it enough to the point where it's going to be a long-term goal instead of this is going to happen overnight.
And I think you look at it as, okay, $24,000 for 1 year. But even after 1 year, if I decide not to continue with the program, I think you can stay in it to stay in the live calls they have. But even if I say, okay, I'm good, thank you guys for everything, that $24,000 is going to help me for the next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 years down the road. So if you really divide that out between the next 10 years of the things I'm learning, the investment is minuscule.
Yeah, it's an investment on your knowledge, and an investment on your knowledge and your skill, and at the same time with the people. So this might be a little bit different than something that you're going to be buying physically, where you're not connecting with those other people. But when you buy, say, something, maybe like a new product that you're going to be able to deal with, it gives you a new knowledge and insights and experience working with different types of products. Like maybe you buy a red camera. Now all of a sudden you have experience with a red camera and knowing how to use it, how to function with it.
Yeah.
So I think that ties in with the products, where it's not just going to be $24,000 and it's going to be once I'm done, like all the knowledge and experience goes away. It's going to be everlasting.
Yeah, it's basically a college degree in how to sell videos in 1 year. It's cool. But it costs about the same as one too.
Yeah, except this is much better.
Yeah,
and teaches you real life shit.
Yeah, and literally it's step by step. It's almost, and it's funny because Nick had a webinar where he kind of walked through things, and it's like hand holding. They pretty much hand hold you through the whole entire thing. Like there's worksheets you download. There's things you have to send them to make sure you're doing it. So it's pretty much like a babysitter that's like, dude, we're getting you to this goal.
Got homework assignments.
We don't want to fucking deal with you after. So yeah, it's pretty much is homework assignments. And you have to allocate time every day to doing these things. And yeah, I mean, it's helped a ton. But we've been talking a lot about my business development. Tyler, is there anything on Nuevo that you want to talk about business development wise?
Not particularly with Nuevo. I would say we had thought about looking into going to different conferences to being able to network and being out there with people, because I think that's a good avenue to go down, because then you're able to learn and talk with other people and network with people. And I think that's a huge part of business. Yeah. I would say our main investment was obviously with our products, and we didn't really have many other investments other than that. But currently I was thinking about this today. We have a big time investment with what we're currently going to be switching to and offering, and there's no initial ROI associated with it. So it's really looking long term with it, because it's going to be a free offering. And are people going to actually sign up for it? We don't know. And the shitty thing about it is it's a flow with the email. And if we say get 1,000 people signing up for it, we're going to have to start upgrading our email service provider to a different subscription base, because we're going to be sending, so it's going to be a daily email. And if we have 1,000 people, that's going to be 1,000 daily times 30. That's going to be 30,000 emails per month that we're going to be sending. And I think our current limit is 1,000 per month. So we're going to have to
upgrading.
Yeah, we're going to have to upgrade our plan so we're able to send the amount of emails out. And we have no ROI with that, because basically what I was thinking is what we're basically going to end up being is going to be something similar to Morning Brew. I don't know. Have you heard of Morning Brew? So we're going to be something similar to that, where basically our form of currency is going to be data, and it's going to be people's emails. And then another way that I was thinking about how we could collect more data is, if you don't want it sent to your email inbox, we can have the same flow, but create it for your texts. So then we're collecting different type of data. So instead of the emails, we're going to be collecting your cell phone number, which is, in my opinion, probably even more valuable. But if we did that, we would have to upgrade our plan again to be able to include that. So I was just thinking about this today, because we have a pretty big time investment currently, and there's going to be an even bigger time investment for us to finish this, because we're probably nowhere close to being finished, probably not even halfway. And we've already spent quite a few hours working on it. So it's a huge time investment for the ROI, because we really need to be looking long term for this. So it's like, we probably either need to have side offerings to be able to pay for it, or we're just going to have to keep our day jobs to be able to pay for it.
Yeah. So do you guys, have you talked about any strategies to turn it into obviously this time suck where it's not showing anything right away to something that pivots into something that does have an ROI?
Yeah, we've talked about, I don't know how much information I've gone into on what this offer is going to be, but we've talked into creating what it is into a physical product. So if you say you don't want it sent to your email inbox, you can buy a physical product of it, and then you won't get that email sent to you. Or what we can also do is so it's journal prompts.
Yep.
Big surprise. The big reveal. Confetti. The big reveal. Yeah, the big reveal. So basically you could have the journal with all the journal prompts in it. That's one of the offerings that we were thinking about. Or the other offering is just a regular journal, and then we're just maybe going to find some Canadian manufacturer or maybe an American one and trying to source it locally and try and have like really high quality products. And that's basically what the other offer would be. So that would be the actual physical product that people would buy from us.
Well, it's good that you actually have an idea of like, hey, how can we get these people that are really just not taking advantage of you guys, but taking advantage of the free work and the free hours you've put into it to maybe having some drip content or drip whatever into something that's actually paying you. And maybe that goes more into, I don't know if we've talked about this on the show, but the 1,000 true fans theory. Maybe you get 50,000 people on the email list and then you just need 1,000 true fans. So that might buy, maybe they buy a journal, a t-shirt, and a ticket to a meetup, and that's $100. So if they do that once a year, boom, there's $100,000.
Yeah, I feel like once we started pivoting this way, I just started coming up with so many different ideas that we could offer, and there is other offers that I think we could branch out into, but I think it's a longer time investment and it's not immediate. It's going to be like a slow rollout with everything that we do want to have, but that would be like another initial time investment. And then once we have the initial time investment, it's just basically set up there, and then it should hopefully collect revenue.
Yeah. It's the front end work that looks daunting, right?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So for Nuevo, basically the main and only thing that I think we have investing in is just our initial time. So yeah.
Okay. So I want to pivot to another topic that you brought up before the show, and that's delegating an amount that you're willing to invest, whether it's every month, every quarter, every year, whatever it is, to spend that money and not really see a return on it. Just test money. Do you want to dive into that topic a little bit, Tyler?
Yeah, I'm not really good with budgeting money. It's one thing that
do you get reports of how much money you spend ever?
Nah.
You do any kind of tracking?
Nah, not really. So basically, me being on this road trip is the most money I've probably like ever really spent in like the past year. I don't spend a lot of money, so that's why I typically don't budget. So when I'm living at home, I have my rent, and then I also have my student loan expenses. So I don't typically spend that much, and that's why I'm fine with spending money whenever I see an opportunity come up, because it's just kind of been building up. And that's when, like for Nuevo, we had to invest money for products, or with Arte, I had to invest in that. Whenever I see those types of opportunities, I just typically don't have those. I don't spend a lot of money. I don't go out to eat. I eat at home all the time. I typically, like my clothes, I typically never buy clothes. I only get clothes for Christmas, so that lasts me over a year. New
wardrobe once a year for Tyler.
Yeah. They last me like five to 10 years. I don't get rid of that stuff. Yeah. So I always tell my mom, like, no more clothes. Like you've given me clothes last year. Like that stuff's still brand new. I don't need new clothes. So yeah, I just make stuff last, and I think that's helped me a lot, and that's been a good benefit for me in the aspect that I don't need to budget, or like maybe I could budget and it would help me out a little bit. So I typically don't. I know you did. You read the book Profit First, and that helps you budget a little bit of your money. So I don't. Maybe you can speak a little bit more on it. But honestly, for me, it just goes into my checking account, and I have thought about spending more money or contributing more money to my TFSA, which is really similar to a Roth IRA, but a little bit better because I can withdraw any of the money whenever I want, tax free. And I thought about doing that, but the cool thing about it is it builds up over time. So once your first year, I think it's when you're 18, it builds up over time. So with TFSA, you can contribute $6,000 or $6,500 per year. But with the TFSA, you can contribute that every single year. But if you miss years and you don't max out, you can go back and and it just kind of builds up.
Really?
So I can go back. I haven't contributed for the past, say, 5 years. I can go back and contribute that amount of money that I've missed out on already. So the way I look at it is, let's just spend all this money. And I'm trying to get better at this, is learn how to make more money. And then once I make, say, $1 million, then I can just go back and fucking
Throw it back in there.
put the $15,000 that I've missed out on, or 15, 20,000, whatever I missed out on. So I don't know, maybe you want to speak out on budgeting.
As far as budget, I don't do a ton of budgeting. I just have for my business, a cash flow tracking sheet that's like, hey, this is the cash that's to be collected. So any invoices I send out that day, this is what I collected today, any checks I actually took to the bank, and then here's any expenses. And that gives me a general overview of, hey, here's the revenue you generated this month. Here's what you actually collected. Here's what you actually spent. And then it gives me a general overview. As far as my personal life, I try to just spend, around I try to spend no more than $1,000 a month. That's, if I'm going over that, it's getting a little bit, not that I can't afford
it.
Is
that including rent or expenses? Is that just like outside expenses?
That's just like living money. So whether I need to get groceries, gas, any entertainment I want to do, I try to stay around that $1,000 a month. Sometimes it's hard.
Okay.
It's harder in the summer because I golf and it's $50 $50 a round. But I try to stay around that. And then that's what I do for my personal, but the business side, I try to track things a little bit more religiously. So I actually have a good overview, because you can't measure it if it's not tracked. You need to be able to track it. So that's what I do as far as that goes. But as far as the investment side goes, for setting money aside to invest in yourself or try new things, I think it's important that maybe have some fun money, whether it's, hey, I got $150 this month that I want to do. I want to try to maybe run Pinterest ads, or I want to buy this course I've been looking at, or I want to get this new piece of equipment and start using it and see if I can make money off of that. I think it's important to have a little bit of money, which I'm horrible at doing, that you're okay with just burning up to learn something new or try something new.
Yeah. I think that's the one aspect of it where you're budgeting a certain amount of money to education or learning or that kind of area, where, I don't know, for me, I would just, I think I think it depends on your priorities too, because like for me, that's my highest priority. So if I think I'm trying to get better at this, like I said, like with coaching, I'm like, fuck that, I don't need to do that. But like after buying this Arte program, seeing you with your program, it's making me think a lot more like, maybe I do need it, because obviously where I am in life, it's not where I want to be. So maybe if I did spend that money on, say, a coach, on a program, on whatever, a mastermind, whatever it might be, maybe it is going to help get me to where I want to be. So I'm trying to get better at it, like I said. So I think depending on your goals, for me, that opportunity to just spend money on those and hopefully level me up takes top priority, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's where, we want you guys to start taking some action, start opening up that mindset to some new ways of thinking. That's really what got me to where I'm at today. That's, I assume, Tyler, what got you as far as you are. It's just being open to new ideas and trying new things. So as far as the development side goes, the business development, personal development, maybe start looking into that a little bit more and caring about that a little bit more, rather than just flying by the seat of your pants. Tyler, I think we can get into this week's business idea.
Yeah, I'm pumped because I have no idea what you're going to say, and your ideas are always something different.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is a service that an existing business would already add, but I was driving home during this big snowstorm and I had to stop every so often to knock the fucking ice off of my wheel wells and to get that shit out of there. So I think there's a couple different things I could do. What I did, luckily I had my production van and I got big metal poles in the back of it for throwing up grids and flags and everything. And I took one of those metal poles out and I was hitting the ice off my tires and knocking it off and off the bottoms. But I got out of my van, I was looking around. There were 5 to 10 cars doing the same exact thing, except they were kicking it and poking it with like a screwdriver. And everyone was doing these crazy different methods to get this ice off their tires. And obviously I look like a genius because I had a giant metal pole. But I thought maybe it's a service that gas stations could offer in the winter that, hey, we'll send 2 people out there, kind of like how they fill your car. If they go out and fill the car, we'll come out there and we'll knock the ice off your tires. Or if it's a product that you could buy, almost like an ice scraper, but something that would knock off the ice super easy, whether it's the same format as an ice scraper or whatever it is, but some sort of product or service around getting the ice off your tires. Because I stopped 3 times in a 4-hour trip to get the ice. So because I couldn't turn my wheels. It was just build up from all the slush on the road and the snow, and you had to stop and get it off when you were obviously going to drive. Otherwise, your vehicle wouldn't turn.
Wow. It's amazing what happens when you keep your eyes open for business ideas, eh?
Yeah, and I knew it was my turn. And it was actually your turn that week, but I was like, I gotta remember this. I gotta remember this because I looked up and I just remember seeing this overweight lady kicking ice off her tires, and over here there was some other chick like bent on her knees. I was like, man, it would be nice if I should go over there and tell them I'll get it with my pole, but I don't want to.
So if I'm going off of Mr. Wonderful, obviously not a big fan of the idea because it's seasonal and you have to be in certain states for this to be good. But what I do think could be beneficial is if it's at a gas station and it's just something that they just offer there where people will stop, and then it potentially gets them in their convenience store as well to buy other products. So something similar to like the tire pump, something similar to that, where it's just something that it's just really quick and easy. Maybe it's just like a little, I don't know, some metal steel thing that they just pay $5 for, and then you just hammer.
And that's what I was thinking. It's more of an added service for an already gas station, because I stopped at 3 gas stations. If I went to the gas stations, I would have given a guy $5 to get that shit off. So yeah, I think it's more so a service that's added to an existing business, whether it's a truck stop or a gas station, rather than something you guys listening could go start tomorrow. But yeah, it's just is curious to see after I saw it. I was like, I'm going to bring this up on the podcast, even if it is not the most fantastic birthday idea. Not birthday idea,
but it's an
business idea. I just got a notification that said Grandma's birthday on my phone. But yeah,
it's an idea though.
And I got the next 2 business ideas I had. I think I texted you them. Those ones are better. Those actually got some meat on the bones.
You didn't text me.
I did.
But okay.
I was driving home and I said, sending this just so I remember, because I didn't have anywhere else to type it. And then I sent you a really long message after that. So I might got it covered up in that.
Maybe. Because I don't remember this message.
Oh, well, I'll send you a screenshot after.
Okay. Sounds good. Yeah. All right idea. But do you want to close out the show? I don't know what's going on here.
Sorry. I was trying to pull up the outro to the show because my iPad's dead and I needed to pull it up. This is episode what, 29 or 30?
I think it's 30.
30. All right. Tyler, you got anything else to leave the fans with? Otherwise, we're going to get out of here.
So I think you don't know what you don't know. So paying for access to people, paying for different products, different services that you've never used before gives you the experience and the knowledge to be able to try new things out, learn new things. So I think if your goal is to level yourself up, which I'm assuming you most likely are since you're listening to The Midnight Entrepreneur, which that's what we're about, leveling ourselves up. I think spending that money and not really being worried about that, because that value and that knowledge, that experience, it's going to be invaluable. And that's something that nobody can take away.
Well said. Couldn't have said it better myself, Tyler. Guys, go out there, start developing that personal life and that business. That's episode 30 of The Midnight Entrepreneur. If you have any questions you'd like us to cover or answer, you can email us at themidnightentrepreneur@gmail.com. If you found value in this content or entertaining, share this with a friend or post it on your story. If you really found this, I can't even read the script. If you really enjoyed the show, we'd love a rating and review on wherever you're listening. Talk to you guys next week for another episode of The Midnight Entrepreneur.
If you want to be rich, simply serve more people. Robert Kiyosaki.
Thank you, Robert.